spent in good company, and all the harm that e'er I done, alas, it was to none but thee. And all I done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fair to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all. So fair to me the parting glass, and gather as the evening falls, and gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Alright, that's not the point of this video. So the point of this video is for me to tell you guys a touch about what I think is the Virile trilogy, and just some of my thoughts on the Virile trilogy. You know, the good old Virile trilogy. So the Virile trilogy, as you guessed, as you read in the thumbnail, is Proverbs, which everyone kind of seems to observe and appreciate and understand. But then also, I would say it's Song of Solomon and Ecclesiastes. These are the books that are just dripping with a sort of fertile masculinity, as it were, dripping with testosterone, swimming in it. You know, have no want, have no lack thereof. These books, yeah, these are the young man's, like, treasure house, storehouse, you know? And each of them is very iconic and different in its own right. And they all seem to sort of, to me, touch on key core aspects of what it is to be a young man. So you've obviously got Proverbs, which everyone's acquainted with. Proverbs, father teaching sound advice to his son. So it's written literally to a young man. So pretty obvious how that pertains to young men there. It's a father dropping little proverbs to his son in a way that his son would understand. It's not disguised in any sort of philosophies or even really principles. It's not principled wisdom. It's circumstantial wisdom. When thus and such happens, you should do thus and such. It's not go through life. Well, okay, some of them are, but generally it's not, go through life with a disposition to doing this sort of thing, and you'll find that when you come out on the other end, because you've lived your life by such and such a principle, then you'll have experienced flourishing, blah blah blah, etc., etc. It's more like, hey, when you see the harlot calling you to come sleep with her, don't do it. when the other young men are like, yo, buddy, come, let us lie in wait for blood. Hey, don't do that either. You know? Hey, if your friend is like, yo, become surety for me, pay the down payment of my house, you know? Don't do that either. So it's just a bunch of like common sense little wisdom nuggets. Not so much like a grandiose framework and structured what's-its that he's handing out. It's just little nuggets so that any young man between, 4th grade and on up can understand. So pretty obvious how that applies to the young man. Obviously, a lot of the parables are the Proverbs are written about circumstances that young men in particular will be encountering. Less so about young women, and not so much about later periods of life or earlier. Not a lot of wisdom to infants being weaned. Like, hey, don't spit your toy, or don't spit on your toys, don't crawl outside the house when mom and dad aren't watching. Written to adolescents is what I'm getting at here. So I would say it's also probably got the youngest target audience in mind, but with flex, because it's not really inapplicable to anyone above the age that can start to read it and apply it. Then we got the two other ones that are unfortunately much less appreciated, I would say, by modern Christians. Ecclesiastes, a lot of people, in my opinion, don't seem to get Ecclesiastes. They find it either depressing or just unuseful. I don't like that. I love Ecclesiastes quite a bit. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the voice that is written in. I enjoy the pursuit of the thought that he's developing and how he pursues it. The sort of argument from a negative premise. It gets a little philosophy nerd in me clapping his hands, absolutely jubilant. And then, there's Song of Solomon. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. This was the one that, by the way, there's a freaking sick moon. Yeah, look at that. Oh, well, this camera is way better. Maybe we should try going with this one. Okay. Let's just flip her around, and try going with this for a little bit. Yeah. Then there's Song of Solomon, which, you have at some point probably seen a meme about Song of Solomon in your life, and I don't really appreciate those. There have been various times when I've been with someone who is a Christian, and they talk about what they think of Song of Solomon, and they're like, man, that thing is freaking weird. It's freaking weird, man. I don't get it. It kind of scares me. It makes me uncomfy. And to that I say, yeah, well, it's part of the Bible, so get over it. If there's something in the Bible that makes you uncomfortable, and it's obviously not just a descriptive passage of something that's supposed to make you uncomfortable, like, the concubine being chopped up after being raped to death, and her body parts distributed across all of Israel. If it's something that you're supposed to be learning from and being admonished by and edified by and drawn closer to truth, goodness, and beauty by, rather being repelled from evil by, then if there's any sort of discomfort that you cognitively experience when thinking and dwelling upon that bit of scripture, that's an issue with you. That's not an issue with the scripture. So you need to just figure out how to resolve that. Now, I get it. I get that it's a bit weird for us in modern day parlance, in modern day terms, to say, to call your beloved not just your spouse but your sister. But terms of endearment, different age, it's not that hard to excuse it and just kind of be like, whatever, I'll take it in because the Bible tells me so. So yeah, just freaking get over it, laddie. Get over it. It's Song of Solomon. I mean, even if there wasn't the barrier of freaking 4,000 years of changing culture and changing PC, political correctness, and changing Overton windows on what's acceptable to talk about, it would still be, even if you wrote at least the true meaning of Song of Solomon in terms nowadays that we would accept and not automatically be turned off by, it would still be a very uncomfortable read, because it's a man's love letters to his beloved and her love letters back to him. They're meant to be intimate parts of both of their lives that aren't shared around. If you ever wrote a love letter to your freaking spouse and then found out that somebody had published that in a book, you would probably be like, yikes, I don't like that, I think it's cringe. That's just because, obscenity, in its proper definition, is just that which is supposed to happen, off stage. So, using the latrine is obscene because it's something that ought to be done in private. Lovemaking is obscene because it's something that ought to be done in private and only shared between a very small group, namely 2 people. So when anything that's supposed to be happening in private and was intended to happen in private is displayed in public, of course there's a certain amount of just inherent cringeness that will come with that. So it's not that hard to look over, guys. It's just not that difficult. It's a love letter. Oh yeah. There are some graphic details in Song of Solomon, it's not just the language is what I'm saying. It's also just the content that is kind of like, woo, 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 ee. Anyway, I hope you get what I'm saying. So, Song of Solomon, yeah. But I love all 3 of these books. Yeah, particularly, I read through multiple of them during BMT. Actually, maybe all 3 of them. And plus Psalms and stuff. And man, I was just struck by them. I was struck. These need to be bundled together into the perfect little young man's trilogy. Because Song of Solomon, while it isn't teaching you explicitly prescriptively how to live life, it is describing the kind of attitude that is acceptable and in fact necessary for you to have a flowering, fruitful, productive, wholesome marriage. A marriage that is not inclined toward strife, is not inclined toward, oh good, she's coming along, toward bitterness and resentment and just general unfruitfulness. Also, it's just a good read for young men. For a man who's coming out of puberty, it's easy to have a certain amount of awkwardness toward the whole romance subject and girls. And so it's good to have some of that tension diffused by reading the proper mindset to have between two people who are very passionate. And it ought to this is what it does for you, for me. It excites me towards marriage, reading the passion and vigor with which these people love each other, and the esteem that they hold each other in, and the sorts of things they do and how they speak of each other. The way the Shulamite talks about how she is sick of love. She's lovesick. She's, you get this kind of feeling that she's wasting away being separated from her beloved. Even if he's just at the frickin' gates talking to people, she can't bear the separation. And she describes her beloved as this, tremendous virile faculty. He comes leaping upon the mountains, skipping upon the hills. His hair, no, I think her hair is like a flock of goats. Oh well. Yeah, it's an Air Force base. We're gonna have some planes. Yeah, that sort of love, that sort of esteem for each other is just, it's invigorating. In a world of so much excess, surplus content of people just doom not mongering, they're fear mongering, and they're all doomer about relationships. There's so much content out there about failed romantic relationships that it's refreshing to see the sort of epitome of what you ought to be like. Yeah. This book is written by the wisest guy on earth, and it was included in the Bible. So maybe we shouldn't just be like, cringe. I think so. One of my favorite ways to consume Song of Solomon is in song. Get it? Because it's called freaking Song of Solomon, so it's reasonable to extrapolate that maybe it would be great in a song. And my boy William Billings has got some banger remixes of bits of Song of Solomon. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. That's a good one. Listen to that. And at the end of this video, I'll play a sublime piece of music. My own voice will bring to you what used to be one of my favorite songs growing up as a kid. I don't know why, but "Oh, Let My Name Engraven Stand." I'll sing the first verse of you, even though as a kid my favorite verse was verse 3. For some reason, flying like a youthful hart or roe over the hills where spices grow just like spoke to me as a kid. I don't know why, but it did. I really loved that verse. For some reason, that and like the Son of God goes forth to war as a kid, I was like, these are the bangers in the hymnal. Anyway, I'll drop the first verse of "Oh, Let My Name Engraven Stand" just to fill you, to get you to feel, because it's such a bouncy, the composition is such a bouncy one. I love the way it's arranged. Now, it's not taken verbatim from Song of Solomon. I believe Isaac Watts paraphrases some bits, but the bits his little poetry comes from Song of Solomon 8. I know because I looked in Song of Solomon 8 and freaking realized, hey, this dude wasn't original. He just reworded some of the stuff here a little bit. but the imagery is all exactly from there. Seal me upon thine arm and wear. That's all Song of Solomon 8. So we need more of Song of Solomon in our lives. That sort of buoyant, jocund jocularity that just is unapologetically masculine and virile, but also it's not masculine in the way that we've been taught that masculinity is nowadays, where it's this independent thing that is kind of by itself and has no relation with women. No, it's symbiotic. It includes femininity with it. It's not independent per se. It's masculinity in relationship to women. It's the marriage bed. It's freaking all these things that it's so easy to be disillusioned by or disenfranchised by if you experience a broken form of it. We need the real thing. Now, this wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't talk a little bit about the Lord of the Rings. There is a character in the Lord of the Rings who I discovered a few years ago that I now have a thesis about his relationship to Song of Solomon. There's a character that so embodies this spirit of unapologetic, un-PC, old world erotic poetry. Unapologetic. He embodies that sort of essence of Song of Solomon, that Solomonic mindset. There's a character in the Lord of the Rings that does this, and it's not probably the ones you'd automatically assume. I'm not saying it's Aragorn. I'm not saying it's any other character that you might jump straight to off the bat. And I also think he embodies the Solomonic mindset in other ways. The wisdom he gives is not typically like framework structured wisdom. It's that common sense wisdom, that has to do with just regular life. This character, he's very mundane. He's very down to earth. He isn't high like an elf. He isn't almost detached from the carnal joys of this world. No, this character, he's downright hedonistic. He lives for pleasure. And in that sense, he embodies Ecclesiastes. Because Ecclesiastes, everybody's like, man, it's such a doomer book. But it's not. You're missing the point of the book if all you see is vanity of vanities, all is but vanity. That's not the point of Ecclesiastes. No, the point of Ecclesiastes is, I have this premise. Vanity, vanity, all is but vanity. Ergo, how should we then live? How should we then live? And basically, Ecclesiastes boils down to, well, if everything's futile, if everything's vanity, then it is enough good in this world to eat, drink, and find good in your work, and all of those will be gifts from the Lord. And if all you have in this world is that, you have enough. You don't need excess wealth, excess treasure, hoarded riches, because why are you hoarding riches? When you die, they're just going to go to somebody who didn't work for them. So why work for riches? Work enough that you can eat and drink. And if you can find good and enjoyment and joy and fulfillment in your work, that's enough to live the rest of your life by. And there's a character that embodies that. He just eats and he drinks and he lives and he finds enjoyment in his work. But then he's got that erotic poetry that Song of Solomon has. He has this relationship with his wife that is not PC, guys. It is not politically correct. Because if you read a poem that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote about him, and if you aren't honing in on this character, you should be getting pretty close. If you read an external poem that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote about this character, the way that this character wins his wife is he kidnaps her. Essentially. It's not like rapey or anything, but she's just kind of doing her thing, and he comes and he's visiting her, and then eventually he just comes and takes her away to live with him. So yeah, kidnapping isn't exactly the terminology that's correct. It's more of a sort of just a whisking. He whisks her, you know? So, if you haven't caught on by now, the character is Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil is, to me, the most Solomonic character in the frickin' Lord of the Rings. Not just because of all the things I've previously mentioned, but also because, how does Goldberry describe him? She says he skips from hilltop to hilltop. Skips from hilltop to hilltop? You don't say. That sounds a whole lot to me like leaping upon the mountain, skipping, 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 skipping. Leaping upon the mountain, skipping upon the hills. My beloved spake and said unto me, rise up, rise up, rise up. Rise up, my fair one. Sorry guys, the sunrise is less epic than I thought it would be. There's a bunch of cloud coverage in the way, so we didn't get them deep, rich Texas colors. That's a shame. Anyway, I'm not re-recording this video, so you'll just have to abide with me, fast falls eventide. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, Tom Bombadil. He leaps upon the mountain, skipping upon the hills. And he just has this... He's the end goal of Ecclesiastes. Wisdom, but not a complex wisdom. He's not caught up in philosophies. He's not caught up in the great wide dangers and concerns and freaking toils and anxieties of life in the great broad wide world. No. He's a hedonist, and a mundane hedonist, but like a joyous hedonist. He lives for the pleasure that's in front of him, and the work that's in front of him, and the people that's in front of him. And the rest of the world, it's not his problem. It's not something he can do anything about. So he just lives well with what he has. And that's the point of Ecclesiastes. It's because vanity of vanities, all is but vanity. Don't worry about vanities. Don't worry about riches and, the trajectory of the world and stuff, because ultimately you can't affect that. What you can affect is the stuff in front of you, and you should enjoy the stuff in front of you, the people in front of you, and do well with what you have. It's not a doomer message. It is the ultimate empowering message, because it literally tells you that the stuff that you have power to affect is this stuff that matters, okay? So people look at the premise, and they get stuck on the premise of Ecclesiastes and never go through to the fulfilled argument thereof. And that's frustrating to me. That's frustrating. Then, of course, you've also got, Song of Solomon, and how Tom Bombadil relates to Song of Solomon. When you meet Tom Bombadil in the books, he's getting like lilies from the water, from the withy window for the river's daughter, his wife. He's doing a romantic gesture. This guy, he's the best, he's the frickin' best. Tom Bombadil. just taking the day off to go do something for his wife. And then when he gets home, they have a feast because he's a hedonist. And hedonist not being used in the pejorative here, but just as a descriptive term. He likes pleasure. He likes the pleasures of the table. Yeah, Tom Bombadil. Very Solomonic. Oh, and Proverbs. The kind of wisdom he gives the hobbits isn't the kind of wisdom that like Elrond or Celeborn or Galadriel would give, where it's like, on the path in front of you, when you feel led astray by beings who look like they are beings of light, look for a possible darkness within, blah, 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 whatever, all these different speculative sort of grandiose frameworks of wisdom. No, that's not the kind of wisdom he's going to give the hobbits. What he's going to tell them is sleep well and heed no nightly noises. Well, that's a proverb, if ever I did hear one. That's just a common sense little nugget of wisdom for you to have for the moment in front of you. It's not really, oh yes, maybe I should live my life as if I should sleep well and heed no nightly noises. No, it's just, hey, rest up, And he also, oh man, this is very scatterbrained. I'm bouncing. But another way he embodies Ecclesiastes is because he's like the oldest entity on Middle Earth. And so, of course, he realizes that vanity, all is but vanity. And you get kind of that impression when he tells the hobbits tales about the world as it has been, all the kingdoms that have come and gone. One of the reasons he doesn't care about things going on in the greater Middle Earth is because he knows those things come and go. He's seen them come and go. Ages come and go. Eras come and go. Eons come and go. And he knows that the only things he can affect is just the stuff in front of him, the people that he's currently with. And so he cares about them and lives for the pleasure and the joy of the moment. And that is why Tom Bombadil relates to the virile trilogy. He's a very virile character. He has this jocund, jocular sort of bounciness, levity to him. I mean, literally, he's like a literally bouncy character. I imagine as he's like skipping through the woods and stuff, he has this he's got a bouncy gait, a bouncy stride, as it were. Yeah. And the world listens to him. Literally, the hills and stuff listen to the sound of his voice because of the kind of gravitas he brings. His position as like the ultimate Adamic man, like Adam as he ought to have been. And C.R. Wiley explores that thought a good deal more in his book In the House of Tom Bombadil. And it's a great read. I love that book. I think he's spot on with everything he says in there. In fact, he's so spot on, it's upsetting to me because I wasn't able to come up with the stuff he said before he said it. But I agree with him. Anyway, let's not detour too far. Yeah. I just want to do this video, not so much as like an argument for anything. I mean, except for I'm arguing, I guess, that you should appreciate these 3 books. And if you're a young man, probably reread them if you haven't in a while, because you are the target audience. Oh, yeah. Why are you the target audience of Ecclesiastes? Because young men, we are inclined toward philosophy. At least I am. And many of the conversations, the deep conversations that I get into with other young men, we're exploring some philosophical idea and bouncing back and forth ideas and stuff, and just, we're not talking about each other. We're not talking about life, our lives. We're talking about some sort of philosophical idea. For instance, conversation I had with a good friend of mine who is in the EOD prelim class during lunchtime. We had a conversation on why I thought that we should overthrow the various names of things in favor of more true names. Because if a strawberry isn't a berry, then either we need to change what qualifies something as a berry, because we seem to have instinctually grouped strawberries in with berries, even though our current taxonomy says no, they're not a berry, or we need to change the name of the strawberry to reflect something, to more accurately reflect its essence, because a name that misinforms you about an item, I think, is a garbage name for an item. Anyway, we had a very long discussion about that whole idea, whether it's even a problem and whether anything could even be done about it. So guys, even here in Texas in an EOD class with a bunch of special warfare guys, there are dudes who will get down and dirty with philosophy. Okay, so I think it's something inherent in men that we love philosophia. We have a love of wisdom, and love pursuing knowledge and brain teasers and expending effort to pursue an idea to its core truth. So that's why Ecclesiastes relates to a young man. It's because it's written very much as a philosophical argument. It's not written like some people seem to think it is, where it's just a guy complaining about how everybody dies in the end. That's not what it is. You miss everything if you think that's what it is. What it is he has this premise, and so he's going to work. If A is true, then what does that mean about how all these other arguments and ideas relate to one another? Okay? Ooh. It is like existentially fulfilling to read it and be like, oh, no, I get that. Oh, so I get why he's saying what worth has wisdom if everything is futile. But then he works down from that no, wisdom is worth something. Wisdom excels folly as much as light excels darkness. Ooh. There's just... Guys, I'm sorry, my phone died. So I'm going to try and just briefly touch on the last few things I said after the phone died. So, yeah. Ecclesiastes. Freaking brilliant. Love it. So, essentially what we have is the virile trilogy. We got Proverbs, which is a young man receiving wisdom from his father. Then we've got Ecclesiastes, which is a young man receiving wisdom from a sort of more of a peer figure. Not exactly a peer because it's a king, but someone who is having a discussion rather than dictating things like a father is. Someone who's discussing ideas and wisdom with someone. And then you have Song of Solomon, which is wisdom derived from a conversation between a man and his wife, an exchange between a man and his wife, and looking at analyzing their life. So that's the virile trilogy, and they kind of escalate. So I guess I should have started the other way. They kind of escalate. Father, peer, wife, like that. So, like I say, this is not really an argumentative video. I'm not presenting like a thesis here. I'm just saying I love these books. I love the virile trilogy. I love the trilogy that smells like a large mammal up when you catch a whiff of that scent, that pheromones, and it kind of just beefs you up. Prepares you for life as a young man. It inspires you. Anyway, so the virile trilogy. Now I'm gonna play some ambient clips from what you just watched while I deliver you the promised warble from me own throat of the first verse of "Oh, let my name engraven stand."
Oh, let my name engraven stand, both on thy heart and on thy hand. Seal me upon thine arm and wear that pledge of love forever there. Seal me upon thine arm and wear that pledge of love forever there.